What is up, guys? COGblades here, coming to you guys with another testing video featuring Impact Drake. Impact Drake was a very anticipated, and in my opinion, overhyped Beyblade that was coming out. It's the heaviest Beyblade, don't quote me on it. I do believe it is the heaviest so far, and with the gimmick of rubber. And I know, like, the way that Tori Toriyama and all them are going to tell you is the rubber allows you to absorb your impact and, you know, all this stuff. But in reality, what's going to happen is it's going to cause more friction and cause you to lose a lot of stamina that you can visibly see when you connect with the rubber to another Beyblade, connect the rubber to the side of the arena, or even when it's spinning out onto the floor. So a few Beybladers on the YouTube decided to come up with a few builds to kind of fix this issue, because it's still the heaviest Beyblade, it still hits like a truck. And the way they decided to do this is by coming up with this build here, which is Impact Drake 180 High Taper. Now, like, you could potentially do Rush or anything, but Taper, High Taper is just another good tip that allows you to lean. So hashtag lean gang here. This is like the entire build is built around like this right here. The concept is you're trying to lean COGblade Drake with Mach 10 speed and hitting over here on the upper side of the blade, completely null and voiding the rubber. Now, this doesn't come without some flaws. Essentially, you're leaning so much you can easily get knocked over or downward pushed, which again, if you see the rubber here, as soon as the rubber starts hitting the blade, or as soon as the rubber and the blade start hitting the floor, you're going to start losing stamina, and it's pretty much game over. This is, in my opinion, is very much like Dram Buster in the sense of it's a worse Dram Buster, because it's a one-hit, it's a one-trick pony. I don't know, it's like a one-hit KO, one-trick pony, a glass cannon. But it's a little bit worse because the gimmick works against it more so than you've like even seen other gimmicks. Like even like Nightmail, like its balls play against it, like can cause it to be off balance. But more often than not, Nightmail's gimmick is working for you, whereas this 100 times, like 100% of the time, this gimmick is working against you. I've yet to see an instance where Impact Drake's rubber is actually useful. But again, the entire strategy is you put it on the 160 ratchet to give it that lean, along with High Taper. You could probably just use Rush as well to give it a little bit more stamina, but I feel like the stamina that Rush gives is like lost somewhere within like the height and everything. So you give it here this giant height, and like I said, the idea with Taper or High Taper is to have it lean in, so that way when you're spinning, you're hitting the opponent's Beyblade with the top here of the blade instead of the rubber, still utilizing the transference of the amount of force and energy behind the rip without, you know, smoking like Silverwolf's blade with the rubber, and then all of a sudden like that entire impact was now absorbed by your rubber, and it didn't, and Silverwolf didn't lose nothing by it, you lost more. So that way you're hitting here, making contact and stuff like that. Again, this Beyblade does hit like a truck, I'm not gonna lie. It's still, like I said, the heaviest Beyblade, so when it still hits the extreme line and dashes around, if you're sitting right here in the center, you will more than likely be extreme dashed. The build that I'm gonna try and rock with this, try to rock with for a while, is going to be 160 low rush, which I think is the most common build to give a little bit of tilt, but still just try to use it because a Dragoon, again, Dragoon is my favorite Beyblade, and this is just another iteration of Dragoon in a way. I saw a really cool post on the Facebook page showing a cool artwork or new sticker for Dragoon that goes on this that I might pick up. But anyway, let's just go ahead and jump on into the testing video. All right, guys, so right here we have Nightmail 560 level, which I have heard is a really good counter to attack types. I also heard like 560 point is a really good counter to it. But essentially here, you're going to get to see the power, like what we're talking about. So we rip it here, and I do a high tilt on the Impact Drake because that's like what it's designed to do. And this, like I said, so you get to see like the problem here is, so the tilt's what's necessary, but you tilt too far down, you start skidding to the bottom. And as you can see here, Nightmail, of course, on level, does exactly what it's supposed to do. We rip it off here, and Nightmail getting a little aggressive, but again, like, that's kind of like the thing about the Nightmail is like it's a counter. Right here, like this is just a 3, you know, this would be 3 points technically, but no knockout due to Nightmail, due to Impact Drake's cause. Impact Drake just end up colliding, and the just sheer force just knocks Nightmail right into the pocket. I was trying to get my tipping down because again, but as you can see here, Nightmail goes through, and as you can see right here, we're bouncing off, but we tilted too much, and then Nightmail hit us, which kind of knocked us back up a little bit. But again, we've just lost so much that right here's just a spin out from the Impact Drake going here into another one. We're shooting here a little bit. I tilted a little bit less on this one, but as you can see, like just High Taper and the weight just caused it to tip. But going up here is Nightmail. Nightmail's like, you know, this is supposed to be a counter to aggressive builds, doing counter attacks, being stabilizing, and of course this shows you here, even though like again, High Taper not being like super aggressive allowed him just to knock us in there. But again, we do the tilt, hopefully to get underneath there and just smoke him in a pocket. I feel like, again, like maybe... I really feel like Impact Drake's very mid, as you can just see here. It's just getting outclassed here. It could also, again, be user. It could be me, 100% me, not getting it down. But right here's like a huge exchange here. We end up taking Nightmail out. But I think another huge exchange. But yeah, so now we move on into 160 rush with Sword Phoenix. So my girlfriend ended up, we ended up going to a locals, our first locals, and my girlfriend Caitlin ended up having this in her list and ended up won the whole locals 5-0 with her like list of like Phoenix, Dragoon, and Silver Wolf. But this was really close here. So these are like pretty much two attack, or this is an attack king going up against it, if you ask me, like a mid attacker. If Impact Drake didn't have the rubber dude, it would be such a powerful Bey, but like the rubber literally just holds it back here. And as you can see here, Phoenix is just kind of brutalizing Impact Drake, taking so much of his energy, it like stops here. So we do a high tilt here, hopefully to get there. But again, such a high tilt and such ferocity from the Phoenix is just knocks us right out here. But again, Impact Drake, man, I want to call it Impact Dragoon, but Impact Drake is like, I don't know. If like I'm gonna run it at locals on a 160 low rush, or I might even put it on a rush, or put it on a Cyclone and try that, just because Cyclone's like so aggressive and like essentially if this is like a one-hit KO or like a glass cannon, just the Cyclone will just kind of like attribute it to that, to where like they throw out Silver Wolf or something like that, Cyclone just smacks it and we call it. And if you can't win, like Dragoon's already, or Impact Drake's already losing, but we end up having a burst here just from being so high. But this is a tip burst, which is really interesting. So we do a tilt. Again, I think I'm tilting too much here, so don't like, again, that wasn't even like, I don't even think we even touched there. But anyway, we're going up here, rematch here. I guess we forgot to cut this out here, and we just immediately pop, throw the Phoenix out in exchange there. Again with Phoenix, a huge exchange here. We almost knocked Phoenix into the hole there, but again, the resilience of that 160. And then you can kind of hear, well, maybe you can't because of the background music, but if you, in editing and stuff, you can hear the clanks when they hit the rubber, and it's just so sad to see your energy get sucked from you. But again, I think if I'm going to do it, I'm going to rock it on that 160 and do either Rush, what was the other one I was talking about? Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. Either do Rush or Cyclone. I mean, technically you could do low flat or do low rush, but you just need to have like decent stamina. Huge exchange here, knocking Silver Wolf out. And see, like, remember these testings are showing multiple matches, where sometimes in a tournament, all you need to do is just knock them in that pocket or knock them in the extreme once. You don't need to outlast them 100 times. And that's what we're showing, is just the powerful hits here from Impact Drake, smoking into Silver Wolf. But again, right here, just Silver Wolf, the free balls, like resilience, and Silver Wolf's like power too. The tilt too, I was also tilting down here, which could be just a bad matchup for Impact Drake here, is hitting the spin sight, that wheel underneath. And here we end up just like a little exchange and placement here, knocked a Silver Wolf into that pocket. Tilting here, I feel like right now I got my tilt down pretty well. But also, like, doing like a lot of these testing matches, like you adjust your tilt to the BeyBlade, and like you just like we do a lot of them, but like we just eventually, like, you got to adapt real quick, and that's hopefully that's what's showing here. But I feel like another hindrance to this high build here is that once you get stabilized, once you're stabilized, it's over. Your entire thing is now you're too high, and you're just gonna get smoked in your ratchet or something like that. But anyway, we're doing here some exchanging. And it could just be that high taper is not as aggressive, too, that I'm noticing, like, especially watching this over again, that high taper is just not as aggressive as you want it to be. So maybe you want something like point, too. I know point could be popular. But also point is a really good choice for, like, counterattack builds, just because its ability to counterattack and its ability to have stamina and stuff like that. But maybe we'll get a win. We'll get, like, another win here on Silver Wolf here in our testing. There we go. A huge extreme finish there, knocking Silver Wolf out. And that's, like, kind of what you want to happen, but you just, I'm like I said, this entire channel was founded on like me exploring and finding my potential and stuff in BeyBlade, and I'm still learning all this type of stuff. So like maybe there's like a way to always guarantee that where you launch it and stuff. But so like we end up knocking it down, but again we lost so much stamina that we just couldn't finish it. We destabilized the Wolf, and we end up just extreme dashing ourselves here after a few exchanges from Wolf. And I think that's the last one here, and we're just gonna be moving on to Cobalt Dragoon 960 Elevate. So I know 960 is not super popular because you'd rather use your 960 on a different ratchet, but Dragoon's like my favorite. Every video we say this, right? And I've moved to 960 on mine because 160 and 560 were bursting too much, and I think that could be just because of the ratchets we got at Takori Toriyama, so they're more prone to like burst. But I decided to get tired of having Elevate's just so, like, again, like this is like a prime example. Elevate is so burstable. Just the tip. That one solid hit from Dragoon could burst this. And you combine that with like a weak ratchet, that's why Dragoon's like known to be burst. So I feel like the 960, at least the 960 that I have on both my Dragoons, gives it a little bit more like strength to not be bursted here. So, but essentially, like, this is exactly like very much like going against Wizard Rod. You have to, like, these stamina matchups, if you don't knock them out in the first 2 or 3 hits, like, it's over. And what's wild, man, is like, I know if I was on flat or low flat, like, I could have punished this rail ride here, but instead High Taper is not like that. So High Taper doesn't do that. It's a little bit, its spin style is a little bit different, but here we're just going to lose, especially if you look at it in the sense of that Dragoon equalizes and spin steals. The rubber is just giving Dragoon more traction to steal while it's taking our stamina. So, again, Dragoon just getting a little aggressive here. And I've noticed, like, I really liked 160 on Dragoon because I really enjoyed the more aggressive movements. But I really think that Elevate still has aggressive movements, keeping it as aggressive as I want it to be. But right here, Impact Drake's just not able to keep up. We're not getting good positioning. And I think that even tilting it, like, it's not doing it here in this matchup. So, ripping it here, we do a little bit higher tip. A good exchange here, but I still don't think in any of these testings that we had against Dragoon I was able to win one. Just because Dragoon is such a versatile blade in the sense of, in the sense that it is a very good, like, balanced, it's like a stamina-ish type, so it has, like, weight behind it, its counter spin. Elevate is very aggressive, plus also very stamina efficient. Like, it just, like, is such a good, solid, well-rounded Beyblade, in my opinion, that it just kind of outclasses, or it's just able to rise up, not outclass, but it's able to, like, adjust to the situation, especially, like, once you become a blader and you know how to launch it. But, oh, we do get a win. We end up knocking it in there. That's awesome. But you see here, man, it catches and it just starts bouncing. But anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. COG, signing out.